Let's play that clip. This is about women and the slut phase, the hoe phase, whatever you want to call it. Here's Adam's opinion. I didn't wait to see what, I want you to respond to that here. And I also want to give my take on it. So let's play that one first, Tyler, if you don't mind.
Agree that I think women 21 to 24, they got some figuring shit out to do. They need to date the wrong guy. They need to fucking fuck up. They need to go through their hoe phase. Like, because the last thing you want to do is get married at 22 and like you were molded or whatever. I've seen this happen before. Next thing you know, you're 37 and you're like, I never got to party. I never got to be the girl on a yacht. I never got to bang the Latino guy in the club, whatever. And then like, you're going to have this like, I wish. So there is a component for women to kind of get some of the stuff out of your system. And then let's say whether it's 24, 25, whatever, then you can kind of get settled into it. I'd say the exact same thing to guys, but just wait till you're in your 30s. Like,
okay. Where do I start? Okay, so I hear this and I just want to be like, no. So I just don't think it's good for women to behave that way at all. Like, I don't think they enjoy it. And I look back and I'm like, okay, I never had that phase where I was like, oh, I need to get it out of my system. And I feel like that is something that guys go through. It's legitimate. Like, they need to kind of purge that. But I feel like every woman that I knew in my life who tried to mimic that male behavior was miserable. And really what they wanted was a boyfriend, but they couldn't find a boyfriend. So they were like, oh, I'm just gonna do what the guys are doing. And they were all unhappy. So, and also I feel like it devalues you then when you do go to find that guy and they realize that you've been with all these guys and you've been floating around and, oh, my friend was with her like a few years ago and this, and you've just been around a lot. They're going to be like, oh, now you're like kind of low quality, because guys don't really like that in women who've kind of slept around the block 50 times. So I would say I see that and I'm like, no, Adam, women don't need to do that. Like, maybe that's something separate set of rules for guys in a way, but women aren't happy doing that. They shouldn't aspire to do that. And they should aspire to a position of self-respect where they don't have to do that. Like, they don't benefit from that structure in any way. And I'd argue they don't really need to purge that, because that's not really what we're about at our core. You say what?
Well, I definitely agree. I don't think that it's something that women have to go through, but I think right now that is our hypersexual culture saying that this is a rite of passage for women. Your rite of passage and from becoming a girl into becoming a woman is being ran through, essentially. And we could have a counter narrative. We have had counter narratives, but right now, rites of passage for women, I think, are really lacking. For men, it's lacking as well. But for us, I know some women that, you know, they'll never have that formal wedding, or they won't have a bridal shower or a baby shower, or now we have baby showers for baby mamas, and that's not what we had before. So it's just a sign of degradation of culture. But women are believing it and eating it up, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think one of the reasons why I was able to get married in the first place is that I knocked off that behavior really young, because it occurred to me, you know, I'm not happy doing this. I do not like these guys. And it wasn't a long time. It was mostly just, I think, probably being a teenager or something like that. But I was absolutely miserable and depressed. And if you bring that up to other young women, I think other young women don't want to be faced with that mirror, that maybe you're doing behavior and activity that's also putting yourself down. So they will try to cope and tell you, you're overthinking it, just have fun. And if you look at it for what it really is, because women have this FOMO thing, if you look at the dark reality of FOMO, it's not really fun. It's not really fun. I think the latest story I had about FOMO for myself was I was looking at these rave girls on Instagram, and they just look so happy and so thin and so just joyful. But the reality is that they're probably doing a lot of drugs and they're dehydrated at a festival, you know? And
dehydrated.
So you think about it, and there's STDs too. So if you look at the darkness of FOMO, you're not really missing out on a whole lot. But we have to convince women of that, which I think is sad, but could be a sign of consumerism as well.
Do you know any women who are happy doing that? Because I look back at my life, I can only think of one person I knew who was really comfortable kind of behaving like a badly behaved guy, like sleeping around, show up in somebody's bed, then you don't even know their name. It's only one girl that I encountered, and she was running from a lot of things. You know, she was buried in alcohol, and there were other problems going on. But I didn't know any healthy woman at 23, 24 even, that was comfortable with that. It seemed like they were all really searching for stability and relationships and finding themselves in instability, but really miserable. So they were like repeating the same bad behavior over and over again, but they didn't want any of that. So is that like the girls that come talk to you and say like, help me out, do they feel lost in that structure that they're told this is female empowerment, but it's actually not feeling that way for them?
I think they mostly just get relieved that they can finally say that they don't like it and that it's been harmful and negative to them, and that they're happy that they're being presented with a different idea. And honestly, I think if we could just get to these girls a little bit younger, they would avoid it. Like, I'm a fairly intelligent young woman. If you would have sat me down at 15 or something and presented me with the statistics of marital satisfaction and saving yourself for marriage as a woman, I'd have been like, oh, okay, that seems like a route that I'd like to take. But I just don't think that people are bringing it up. But I don't know any woman that is living that lifestyle that I think is happy. There's one that I suspect is happy, but she's also an alcoholic, though. So it's hard to tell, because if you're happy, then what are you numbing yourself from? So it's just a bad experiment that's mostly benefited men. What is it? The sexual revolution. I fail to see how men lose when we have lower standards for access to the bedroom. And then on top of that,
Right.
they can walk away from paternity. I mean, it can be as simple as child support, which can be avoided if you work under the table. But then it's also, she can just get it fixed for free over at Planned Parenthood. So I just don't think we ever won the sexual revolution. I don't know why why older women tried to tell other women that it was a dub, because to me it just looks like a big fat L. Like, what do you mean? I get to be promiscuous, and then if I get pregnant, like, he might not even be around. I don't know. That sounds like an L.
Yeah. I mean, also, just for our friend Adam, I love you, but it doesn't make any sense, because if you're saying you want a high value woman, and you're saying that high value means that they've been less promiscuous, they've been more selective, they have more self-respect. If they're running through it like this, or whatever, being run through, I don't even know the right term for that, ran through, whatever. My version of it back when I was youthful was like, you're just sleeping around. Okay, so when you're just sleeping around, that's going to decrease your value. So then you're going to have less. Who's going to be left by the time they get to you at 25? They've already they've taken themselves down a notch. So the message should be, don't mimic this bad male behavior. If you're not craving all that stuff. What you're really craving is intimacy, and you're not going to get it by following that model. The guys doing that aren't craving intimacy. They're just like, oh, look, boobs, oh, a butt, oh, yeah, let me just live. They're not like, oh, I'm looking for somebody to cuddle with or wake up with. They're not thinking of it like that. It's a different mindset. If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here. And if you want to ask me a question one-on-one, you want to do a one-on-one FaceTime with a group of your friends, whatever you want, you need to download Connect right now. Click right here, and let's get talking.